Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, and I'm doing just a little bit of a different type of video today, a post-mortem about my recent showing in the YUGITUBER Grand Championship. Now if you haven't watched my video of my round 1 match against Robbie Cole, check that out in the description below on Cimoooooooo's channel. It feels weird to advertise a channel with 15 times more subscribers than me. While you're at it, YouTube Music could really use your assistance. Now, I know my choice to play Pacifis the Phantasm City Control was controversial, to say the least, but to that I'd like to release the following statement. I know that playing Pacifis may have come as a surprise, and was upsetting for many of you, but know that I did this to satisfy the jank at the center of my heart. I will add that this decision was reached after extensive individual therapy on my part. With that said, this is all I plan on stating publicly regarding my deck choice. It is my hope to exit this tournament with style and grace. Thank you for understanding, your patience, your hot texts, and your respect for my privacy. I'm just going to give you a little bit of detail about what I played, why I play it, how I navigate certain matchups, and then I'll read some of your comments at the end. Let's get started. So here's the list, and okay, it's not going to be a video like that. This is card for card the list I played against Robbie Cole, with the exception of 3 Nightmare Phoenix over 3 Security Gardener in the extra deck. No reason to metagame against Mystic Mine if it's not legal. First, every Pacifist deck worth its salt has to be playing some 4-star normal monster beater suite. I chose Mech Knight Avram for 3 reasons. Firstly, it lines up well against the floodgates that people are currently playing, as well as the ones in our own deck. Secondly, you can get it with World Legacy Memory, which is incredible. One of the main ways to defeat Pacifist the Phantasm City Control is just to not activate effects and poke damage in with like Array over the course of 6 turns. This gives you 2 more copies of Mech Knight Avram and represents 2 searches of a Phantasm Spiral trap as well. And thirdly, he says check this out in his text box. That's hilarious. After that, we're on our draw spells. 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance, 3 copies of Card of Demise, and 3 copies of Pot of Duality. Now, I get a fair amount of flack about this ratio. I hear a lot of people saying, why are you playing Demise in the same deck as Extravagance? What if you draw into Demise? Why aren't you playing 2 copies of Pot of Duality in a deck that actually wants to use its special summon? To them I say, be reasonable. This is a bad deck. You're going to have to make up the advantage loss you're going to receive against something like Sky Striker by playing cards that are conditionally very powerful and hoping you satisfy those conditions. Playing something like 3 Duality is probably bad in Guru Control, which, as long as it can find a hidden city, has a linear, efficient game plan. We don't have that, and as a result, our secret win condition is resolving 2 of these cards 1 turn right after the other. Going +3 off of a Card of Demise is exceptionally important to your ability to outplay the consistent +3s that meta decks have access to. Finally, we've got 2 copies of World Legacy Memory, explained above, and 3 copies of Pacifist the Phantasm City for obvious reasons. Understanding this card is critical to beating this matchup should you ever encounter it in paper, and as a result, read it as thoroughly as possible. We've also got 2 Terraforming. After that, we're on Traps. 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. This is actually less good than it's been in recent formats. It turns out you don't have to negate every single monster effect under the sun. It's particularly good in Pacifist, however, because negating a monster effect but not negating the activation is critical to getting the token. So, you know, you do what you have to. Finally, it is a hand trap, and we're not playing any other ones in the main, so we probably should be playing at least this. After that is 3 copies of Phantasm Spiral Battle. This is the only search target I am playing for Pacifist Phantasm City. I get endless flack for not playing a copy of Phantasm Spiral Power. I assure you it's not good. I dropped Power a couple of months ago and I haven't looked back since. I haven't missed it 1 iota. Power does not do what you want. Your opponent will activate a monster's effect. After that chain is done resolving, you will be able to special summon a monster to your side of the field, and after that chain is done resolving, you'll be able to search a copy of Phantasm Spiral Power 2 entire chains after the thing you wanted to negate. Phantasm Spiral Battle deals with a threat that has just resolved, making it infinitely more powerful, and it hits spells and traps, which is icing. After that is 3 copies of Metaverse. You know, it's good. You'll notice I'm not playing Trap Trick. That's because there's only 3 targets in the deck, these 3, and they're all pretty bad. You don't want to Trap Trick for a copy of Infinite Transience in your 20 trap deck. You don't want to get a copy of Phantasm Spiral Battle banished because you're looking to search all 3. And while Trap Tricking for Metaverse seems good, think how it plays out. You Trap Trick for Metaverse, activate Metaverse, get a Pacifist the Phantasm City, special summon a token, add a copy of Phantasm Spiral Battle to your hand, and then you're under Trap Trick. After that are our continuous traps. We have 3 copies of Sea Stealth Attack. I've tried this at 1, 2, 3, and 0. I think we got to play it at 3. It is actually the win condition of the deck. Understanding this card is almost as critical as understanding Pacifist Phantasm City. It does a couple of things that are kind of secret hidden anime effects that are incredibly important to get. Firstly, when you flip it up, you're able to reactivate a copy of Umi from your hand or your graveyard, so you can use it after the MST has been activated. After that, it gains the following effects. Firstly, once per turn, you can banish a water monster you control until the end phase and make face-up spells or traps not able to be destroyed by card effects. That works even if this card leaves the field and can banish tokens. And secondly, at the start of the damage step, if your water monster, whose level is 5 or higher, battles an opponent's monster, you destroy the opponent's monster. This is not once per turn. People continuously make the mistake of just ramming endless guys into it, hoping that something changes. Nothing ever does. What's important to understand about this card is it can't be activated in response to something like a Mystical Space Typhoon. So if you go for a Twin Twister and they flip a Sea Stealth Attack in response, don't allow them to activate the first effect of Sea Stealth Attack to prevent it. It's got to resolve entirely until it gains those effects. And secondly, the first effect of Sea Stealth Attack is actually important because banishing the token in response to a card or effect being activated means that Pacifist the Phantasm City's Spell Speed 1 effect will not be able to resolve until that chain is done resolving. It will see that you don't control a token and that your opponent activated a card or effect and will net you another monster and another search. So don't fall for that trap either. After that is 3 copies of TC Boo. This card's incredible. I have tried Gozen Match, Rivalry, Summon Limit, all in conjunction with this and in its place. I like this more than any other permutation. Next we're on Skill Drain. Please come back to 3. And the Solemns. Strike is not particularly good because, I don't know, usually it's just called by the grave too. You're negating Ash about 80% of the time, and it doesn't net you a search off of Pacifist because it negates the activation, but it's incredibly important both for stopping things that the deck can't otherwise stop, like Salamangreat Heat Leo, and for making sure you get Pacifist in the first place through an Ash Blossom. After that is Solemn Judgment. People are maining evenly. What is wrong with you? And Solemn Warning so you can, I don't know, end Sky Striker links. In the extra, it's just a bunch of Super Poly targets, and Super Poly's been great. Salamangreat Violet Chimera turns off all of their negations, so if you Super Poly early, you can ensure your Pacifist resolves through a Roar. Starving Venom Fusion Dragon cleans up the problematic portions of Thunderbirds. 3 copies of Mud Dragon of the Swamp have some type of off-meta significance. I go into it pretty frequently, and the rest of them are just Mystic Mind stuff. Link Spider to get rid of a token or an Ojama trio, and a copy of Security Gardna to prevent you from dying by damage. In the side deck, we've got 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 2 copies of Super Polymerization, 3 copies of Evenly Matched, 3 copies of Heavy Dust Storm, 1 Imperial Order that should, probably not be here, but it's so good against Striker, and 3 copies of Dark Bribe. Now, I hear what you're saying. I hate Dark Bribe too. I completely understand, but it's the only thing that stops both Evenly Matched and Twin Twisters. A lot of people asked me how I got this deck to perform competitively. The short answer is, clearly I didn't, but the longer answer is, while I do think this deck has a positive matchup versus a majority of decks, clearly it is not even remotely tiered. Having said that, if you are possessed by the Pacifist spirit and need a Penance on Dueling book, I will let you know how I navigate particular meta matches. Firstly, understand that you are favored against almost every single rogue deck. Things that are skirting the edges of meta playability usually aren't able to deal with 3 copies of Phantasm Spiral Battle. As far as Striker goes, you are aiming to beat every single card in the extra deck. Do not put yourself into 3 Kagari range, because that is how you will lose. You'll want to save your Phantasm Spiral battles exclusively for your opponent's copies of Multi-Roll. Additionally, you're looking to establish Sea Stealth Attack as early as possible. They have very few main deck outs. Their biggest one is Afterburners. Because of this, make sure you always leave a Sea Stealth Attack's effect to remove a water monster from your side of the board active, so that if they activate Afterburners, you can tag out the monster in response. Against Salamangrate, you are playing to dig to there can be only one. You are going to need positive pressure. You're not going to be able to sit back and allow your opponent to outgrind you because Foxy is a house and destroys every single card in your strategy. Again, finding C stealth attack is pretty important, but more important is baiting your opponent into making big plays. Don't flip up your floodgate if you expect they're about to go to a Heat Leo while you have a Solemn Strike set. Next is Orchist. This is actually an alright matchup. You grind much better, and breaking their board isn't that hard. After that is Thunder. Again, you're going to have to break this turn 1 board if you want to win. Going first is exceptionally important because it allows you to disrupt their plays, but if you don't do so, you do have the tools to reduce their board a little bit, finding things like there can be only one and pushing it through, and forcing your opponent to activate effects in response to some of your cards is the way to win here. For True Draco, just pray. I mean, it's not going to go well. The ability to destroy your Pacifist Phantasm City with the grave effect of their cards that draw them cards is pretty much the nail in the coffin. And as far as mine goes, enjoy your free win. This is kind of the reason to play the deck. It has a fantastic Mystic Mine matchup. Finally, I'll read a couple of your comments. Firstly, from Shoujo. Shame that MBT lost the duel. I just discovered his channel recently and he seems like a pretty cool guy. Glad I have deceived you. And I was at least hoping we could see him play in further matches in this tournament. Sorry to disappoint you. Even though he lost, could you see him commentating with you on another match, Cimoooooooo? This is of course going to count on our schedules syncing up, but it is a distinct possibility. Watch this space. Second is from Biju Tamer. Pacifis is hilarious in YGO Pro. The amount of chains it produces and summons double tokens. Okay, so this doesn't actually happen anymore. It happened on older versions of Percy because truthfully the rulings surrounding Pacifist the Phantasm City were a little bit up in the air. Because Pacifist activates on a chain after a chain is done resolving, it was thought, based on OCG rulings, that if your opponent activated 2 or more cards in the same chain, you would get 2 or more tokens. That is not how it works, and not how it works currently on YGO Pro. These next 3 are Chet allegations, so I'll do them all at once. First, Beatrice Lady of the Eternal says banished 5 with Extravagance to draw 2, then Demise activates in the same column as Impermanence and resolves normally, and then activating HSD entering battle phase. David says, Cimo, misplay first turn, Pot of Extravagance says you can't draw for the rest of your turn, so we can't use Pot of Duality, and D. Mendez says you can't use Cerberus on Metaltron, not special summoned. First, for banishing 5 with Extravagance to drawing 2, that did happen, but was a result of a dueling book bug. The only way you can banish cards randomly from your extra deck face down is with a macro that pops up when you activate Pot of Extravagance. I clicked it twice, and it banished 5. This is a well-known bug, and didn't have any impact on the outcome of the game. The Demise activating in the same column as Impermanence, then resolving, is legal. Understand that Impermanence is an A then B effect and requires A to resolve for B, in this case the negation of all spells and traps in this column, to happen. A could not resolve because Metaltron 12 is impervious to the effect of traps. And the activating Heavy Storm Duster and then entering the battle phase, yeah, that was a mess up. We reference it in the commentary. The misplay first turn about Pot of Extravagance doesn't take into account the fact that Pot of Duality is not a draw effect. It adds a card from the top 3 from your deck to your hand, and add effects are A-OK under Extravagance. And the Cerberus on Metaltron, I mean, I was really scraping the bounds of my sanity at this point, so I apologize, that is in fact true. James Zetterman says, 100% more anti-Semitic conspiracy theories than I was expecting. Okay, yeah, I guess I should talk about this. I tend to think that everyone kind of experiences the channel in the same way I do, which is a linear progression from late 2016 to present day. Clearly that is not the case, like everyone joins the channel at a different time, and as a result they're not privy to the same inside jokes as everyone else. My real last name is Rothschild, and as a result, I get a significant amount of pretty frequent hate mail accusing me of, like, controlling all the gold in the world, or, like, buying up every evenly matched so it can't be used against me, you know, ridiculous stuff like that. And these are so ludicrous that they kind of became a joke over the streams. Things like we would lose to Giant Ballpark and I'd say something like, oh, we should have used the Rothschildian weather machine to dump a load of snow on his house or something, right? If you hear me make these jokes about the Rothschilds or the Bogdanovs or something, and you think you're in good company, you're not. I have made no attempts to obscure my political leanings on this channel. I consider myself a part of the scumbag left, and I guess TLDR, Nazi punks fuck off. And finally, Empty Throne says, the commentator was full of shit. The real reason Pacifist isn't played is because it's bad. Most decks can play through it easily and stop it easily as well. And to you I say... yeah. So that's that, just a quick little post-mortem on my performance in the Cup. I'd like to thank Cimoooooooo for letting me participate, all of you for cheering me on even though I scrubbed out in round 1, and if you're new, I'd like your input specifically on my normal content. Check out 10-minute testings below and let me know what you think I can improve. I love all of my current subs, of course, but I also appreciate fresh eyes. Let me know what a newcomer thinks I could do better. Alright, I'll see you for normal content this week.